Yo, hey everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have a great lineup. We're going to have 5 amazing projects presenting today. We're going to start with ArText, then ViHub, then Ricardian Fabric, followed by FungyProof, and then Decentralized Web Services. So without further ado, let's get started with ArText. North, how's it going, man?
Hi everyone.
We can see your presentation. You're all good.
I'm North, and I'm the founder of ArText, and today I'll be introducing to you all a new concept of publishing, which is decentralized. Now, basically, ArText is contains what most online publishing platform has, of course, with the additional advantage of the immutable storage. But there are a few notable features that I'll be going into. This is the general flow of how ArText works and its many different components. But don't worry, I'll be going into each part too. Now, the one thing that makes ArText different from a traditional publishing system is that readers do not need to spend any tokens to gain access to published content. All a user needs to do is to hold Arweave tokens to gain access to a published content. But you might think that how are we able to earn from this? Well, we're using a system where we call it a value pool. It's a system that's never before seen in blockchain, and believe that it's not a system that's only tied to publishing, but can be applied to many other content creation as well. And essentially is that we call this thing ink, where each published content will have an ink rating. It's the minimum Arweave tokens needed to be held by a reader before it can access the content. The tokens are not spent by the it's not spent when you access. And on this system, writers do not set the price of their own content, nor is it set by us. It is actually, in fact, set by the community. Now, if a user does not have enough Arweave tokens to access a published content, they could donate 5% of the current ink for access to the content. For example, if the ink is at 1, the user just needs to spend 0.05 Arweave tokens to be able to access the content. This action will increase the ink of the content. And the true revenue generator on ArText is that readers are required to upvote or downvote a content for 10% of the ink to be able to leave a review. This review is immutable, so any opinion you give or is it a good vote or bad vote is completely immutable. And this is our main revenue generator. 10% of ink of the current published content, it will increase the ink, and if you dislike it, you can downvote it, and that will decrease the ink. But what happens if the ink decreases to a very low amount due to many downvotes? Well, we do have a system where we call it the red ink, is that when it passes a certain threshold, if the ink reduces, the lower the ink gets, the higher the reader has to pay to be able to view the content. So as essentially, like once it passes the threshold, you have to pay to be able to view. This prevents any potential offensive content, and we do not want readers to be able to access such content. So there's such as a buy wall there to protect against it. Now, a cut of any earnings made on the ArText is actually given to a charitable, decentralized, autonomous organization, a DAO. And this fund is focused on rewarding frequent voters in monthly airdrops. A certain portion is rebate and given back to the voters. We could do a yearly awards and award esteemed writers on their publishers. And we could even contribute back to the community through donations. And you can see here from that, that this is the payouts we have regarding the fractions. 85% go back to the writers, of course. We want to incentivize writers using our platforms. ArText, 11% goes to the profit sharing tokens, and 4% goes to the readers' funds for the upvotes. For downvotes, it's 35, 35, 30. For donations, it's 85, 11, 4%, similar to upvotes. And last but not least, we have the rate fees, which may possibly, because the content is very offensive, the writers, none of the funds will go back to the writers, and we personally do not want to profit from such funds, and we believe that most of it should go to the charity with 88%. Last but not least, a very interesting, very unique feature that is never before seen in publishing is a system we are now calling it SQLs, which is if you're from a programming background, you would think of it similar to like GitHub. You could fork existing content to be able to create new content based on an existing content, or you could translate it through smart contracts. Basically, you could fork through smart contracts, where when a potentially new writer could seek approval from original writers of maybe a famous published content, they could negotiate a percentage of the royalties, And when a new writer publishes a new content, it will have a link to the first content, essentially allowing a chain of stories similar to like what stories we have on the trilogies. But we can trace it back easily through smart contracts on the Arweave platform. Take Star Wars, for example. Let's say a potential writer loved the Star Wars franchise and came up with an idea similar to the Han Solo story, which is built on the lore of Star Wars. The writer submits a request to the owner of Star Wars. The owners like the idea, they negotiate the royalties, and bam, they approve it. No longer you have to worry about the copyright problems, as I believe a lot of potential writers they really love to write fan fiction products, and they are unable to do so due to the various copyright restrictions implied. And so that often, even though if the original author is okay with it, many fan fiction writers are unable to actually profit from it. And with a system like ArText, the new writer could profit from it, or translators can profit from it. The original writers can profit from it, and the fan base is happy with a new and verified story that they could access on the platform. And whether if the story is canon or not, that's actually up to the owners to decide too. And this is essentially what ArText brings to the table to revolutionize the publishing of content. And we differ from others in the sense that we don't do advertisements on the platform. You don't have to view various ads. The community decides the earnings of content. The communities decide how popular contents get better profits. Writers are able to earn from every step of the way. No more censorship and oppressions. It's the community who decides it. Our DAO is transparent, traceable, and last but not least, writers could choose to maintain anonymity. And this is a very key point, as many famous writers actually do take a pen name, a different name, just to maintain anonymity and produce something new. And that's all I have for my presentation. Thank you so much for listening. You can check out my booth for more information too. I'm actually looking for other co-founders on this project. I would like to discuss more about this project with people. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, North. So something I'm putting right here in the comments is Wattpad, right? So you mentioned to me when we were talking about this, that this element of fanfic, for example, is not allowed on Wattpad. And this is something that you envisage that you could provide original content creators with revenue streams down the line. So if you basically fork a story, right, of your characters, they can still earn some revenues, and that gets sort of that takes care of the intellectual property and copyright law concerns, right? So I think that's something that's very, very interesting.
Yes, and necessarily only enabled because of the existence of smart contracts.
Right. Right. Cool. Well, that's really interesting. Thank you very much for presenting, North.
Thank you.
All righty. Next up, we got Akshata. Akshata, you will be presenting ViHub, which is something that I think that you started fairly recently, and you're very keen on getting some initial feedback from the community, right?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Hi, this is Akshata, and I would like to present ViHub. So this is basically, roughly speaking, this is for permanently storing your organization's documents. And so the motivation behind creating this project is to build a permanent decentralized storage for important documents for your organization, to provide maximum security, remove any chances of third-party accessing your important documents at any point of time, and pay as you go and avoid high subscription fees. All this could be by default achieved when the platform is built on Arweave. So when you have a space, from now, the space on ViHub, I'll be representing as a professional space. So whenever you have a professional space, you need to have some difference from when you maintain a personal space. To go to that stage, first I'll show the difference between having a personal space and a professional space. So when you have your personal permanent space on Arweave, the only thing that you need is connecting your Arweave. So you need to have an Arweave wallet, and you need to have an address, and your address is attached to your space. But when we are talking about professional space, you don't need just one person who should have access to your space, but you need multiple people who should have access to the space, because it is so. The solution to this basically is Multisig Wallet. Multisig Wallet allows you to sign the transaction, allows multiple people to sign the transaction from one wallet, and it allows more members of the company to handle the documents from single space, and hence does not give control to a single person. Now here, the mediatory is Multisig Wallet. So you're not directly connected to your space, but you're indirectly connected to your professional space using Multisig Wallet. When the Multisig Wallet is created, it would basically look something like this. Like owner 1 will have address 1. So all these, for here, in this example, we have 3 owners and 3 addresses. Like the addresses corresponding to the owner. And all of these are the owners of this Multisig Wallet. So from here, so these 3 owners all can open the space in the organization of the organization. But then again, you might not want everyone in the organization to access all your documents, and you would want certain people to access certain sections of the documents. So after signing in into your space, professional space, it would look something like this, wherein some documents would be open to all the team members, which might include documents like which has guidelines or other things, and the others will be locked. But this won't have any transaction. This would just be simple JavaScript function to lock, wherein you can, like, you will just use your user ID and password to open all these things. So the particular person, a particular team member basically here can access one or many sections, or can access all the sections. Like, it's basically up to you who you want to give what access to. So this is my basic idea about it, and I hope I was able to put forward clearly about it. And I'm also looking for some team members who would help me make this project a reality. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Akshata. That was really good. I think that having some sort of tool that can organize and index all of the documents on the PermaWeb or would be really cool and useful. And I know you just started working on this very recently, right?
Yes, very recently.
Okay. So, and you'll be at your table afterwards. So, yeah, if anybody wants to, contribute and provide any feedback, I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, that would be really helpful. Thank you.
Thanks, Akshata. And then next, we will have Peter or Barf with Ricardian Fabric. And to my knowledge, so this is a tool that helps to create payable, handwritten, or machine processable like financial contracts that live on Arweave. So Peter, I'll get you to come to the podium. And you are now spotlighted.
Okay. Hey, everyone. So you can see my screen. This is the MVP that I've been working on for like 15 days. And what you can do basically is that you can take a financial contract and it's going to render a website and deploy it on Arweave. So what I can do, for example, is crowdfunding. So for example, I can create a bond that I put here the legal text that I, the creator of Ricardian Fabric, confirm and acknowledge that I'm indebted to the signer of this contract and who is called the creditor, and they shall receive 100 of my community tokens for 1 hour. And if for any reason I default or my tokens cannot meet the requirements, like no value, then I will do a refund. So I can give the price here. The signer can be anybody. Let's say this bond sale will expire like in a couple of days. So yeah, I put it like that. And you have the option to post to either a webhook or redirect to your website. So you can capture this at the end and, for example, mint an NFT from the bond and create a security that you can trade on an exchange. So I'm gonna create this, and it's just gonna create a contract website that is a bond in this case that anybody can access, and anybody can basically purchase this bond for 1 hour with 0.005 sent to the community members, and you can just sign it, which will create another website, which is the proof that you have purchased this bond. Now you see here that the issuer and the participant is the same. It's because I'm using test weave, so everything is like it's not working completely yet. But this is pretty much it. You can mint this into an NFT and trade it on an exchange, and you can basically do a lot of stuff. And the way it works is you have this create website that will create these acceptables, and the acceptables will create these fulfilled ones. And the acceptable is what you would put, for example, if you have a Solid contract, you could put it in the constructor to, when you create it, to save the URL inside. And every time you do the onboarding, you just fetch terms and services, terms and conditions from the smart contract, make the person sign it, and then you can save the fulfilled results as like this address signed it. He accepted my terms. So that's it in a nutshell, basically. And you can use this for bonds. You can use it to create securities that you can trade if you mint it into an NFT. You can use it for copyright, and you could create like derivatives from copyright. You could use it to you could use it as a bill. You can create a bill, send it to someone else who can be like, he's the only signer. So you can send it to a specific person who is going to see this contract and can sign it, and you will receive the fee or the price. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell, basically. You can, if you use the webhook, there is an extra field that you can add. So you have, you can pass in a secret that is a pre-shared secret. So you can identify a person on your server and know who interacted with the contract. Or you use the redirect, and you just gonna include it in your website, and you just redirect. You link this, person signs it, it redirects back to your website. It's done, and you can do the onboarding. You can sign terms and service, terms and conditions, and other stuff. Yeah.
Thanks, Peter. I'm wondering what gave you the idea to build something like this?
Well, I like Ricardian contracts. I've been reading about it a lot, and the idea came because I was writing smart contracts that I needed to be legal, because I wanted a legal company to use it. And in order to have that, I was thinking maybe I have like a string where I'm storing the URL of a contract, and I could make like people sign it somehow. But I didn't put it together till I saw the hackathon, and then.
Okay, and are you looking for like any sort of team members or feedback for afterwards?
Well, yes, I'm looking to start a company around this, and I'm looking for people who are interested. I'm looking for people who are builders, and they could give me feedback on how you would integrate it into your website or into your smart contract, or other ideas.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, for everybody else, find the Ricardian Fabric booth after the presentations and talk to Peter. All right, thanks, Peter.
Okay, thanks.
And then next up, I'm just going to get you guys, Brandon and Mike, to come to the podium. I'll make sure to get you guys spotlighted. Okay, and so Brandon and Mike are going to be presenting FungyProof. And so this is an NFT grading and enrichments platform where owners can bind cross-chain, real-world, and metaverse data to their token. So Mike, you can do I suppose you're going to do the presentation, and then Brandon will do the demo. I think you guys are both muted.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the plan.
All right. Yeah. You got
sorry about that.
Okay.
Cool. Thanks, Jesse. Yeah. So as Jesse stated, we're FungyProof. If you can't tell by the last names, we're actually three brothers that we've been working in the blockchain space since 2017. Our previous company was a decentralized exchange that we built on the 0x protocol called Radar. So FungyProof enables owners to grade and enrich and prove data about their NFT through a user-friendly UI modeled after collectible grading services. So if you're unfamiliar with traditional collectible grading services, there's this concept of being able to basically send in like a sports card or a magic card or a collectible or a coin to a service that then verifies the quality of that asset, and sometimes does like an appraisal, gives it a score, puts it in a case, and then returns that to you. So we're pulling from that concept or that metaphor and doing that in the NFT metaverse space. So we think this is really important for NFTs because a lot happens to an NFT after it gets minted. So right now, there's really no way to continue interacting with NFTs and be able to tie all of the additional things that happen around an NFT after it's been minted. So things like certifications, carbon offsets, appraisals, press events that happen around an NFT, trade info, etc. All of these things exist currently for NFTs, but you can't really tie them together. So that's the idea, is to put it into an immutable registry and be able to tie all the information about the NFT into one spot. So we have sort of 3 different primary pieces to the platform. The first is grading, and this is we're calling it mint conditions, which takes all the information about the initial mint of the token and gives it a quality or a grade score. Then once you have your score, we have encasing, which allows you to put the NFT into a digital case. And when you do this, it's the initial sort of first record that gets indexed into the immutable registry. And then lastly, there's enriching. So once you have this record created, then you can further enrich an NFT and tie a bunch of different information to the NFT. So the way that this works is we have these things called data resolvers, which are sort of an open source code package that allows you to pull down information about an NFT. And we are trying to be chain agnostic, NFT agnostic. So even if they don't follow certain standards, we can, if they're not a 721 or an 1155, if they're a different standard, we can still be able to source all this information and tie data to them. And then once we have all of the data, we pump it through a grading algorithm that we've come up with. But we hopefully in the future will have the community help us out with this, which I'll talk a little bit more in a second. And then once you've got your mint conditions, the smart contracts themselves, and also by using signatures, we verify that you own it, and then we allow you to add these additional enrichments to the original NFT. And the enrichments are actually a new contract standard currently built on Ethereum, but we're exploring also SmartWeave, which is basically a non-fungible token, but we're calling it a non-fungible enrichment, which allows you to have a token which is owned by another token. So you can tie multiple things together. And then lastly, once you have all the information, we have a multi-party signature system, which allows both the owner of the token and then us to create a signature to verify the information that's been appended to the NFT and then store that in the registry. And then we have an API, obviously, which can surface that information a number of ways through basically a registry or a public viewer or some sort of embeddable interface so that we'd be able to embed with other third-party NFT platforms and marketplaces. So the way that we're specifically using Arweave for this, I touched on briefly that we'd really like to be able to have the community give us feedback on how this grading works and being able to identify the quality of an NFT. So for the time being, we have these open source data resolvers, and we believe that we'd be able to tie into profit sharing tokens using the Verto bridge. When someone purchases a grade or an enrichment, then we'd be able to reward users who have helped us with the grading rubric using the Verto bridge by converting whatever token they paid in, depending on which chain they're on, into our tokens, or into profit sharing tokens. The second way we're using Arweave is by storing all of the data and enrichment information into Arweave. We can do this through ArDrive or just directly to Arweave. And this is for both the enrichment assets and then also our registry, which is actually built on top of Ceramic Network, which allows you to archive to different storage platforms. So we would directly archive our entire registry into Arweave. And then lastly, we have a upgrade type enrichment that you can add to an NFT. And this upgrade basically takes all the information about a current NFT, such as the metadata and the images, and then puts them onto Arweave and ties that back up to the original asset. So I'm going to let Brandon take over for a second here, and he'll give a quick demo of the UI that we're currently working on.
All right. So I'm going to try to go through this fairly quickly. Just cut me off if I start to ramble. So this is our working Figma UI prototype. So as Mike had mentioned, the idea is you would show up and you would have a graded token. So this is the single view for that token, and it would display obviously the grade, what we're calling Fungy credits, which is another incentive mechanism, and then the total number of enrichments that have been applied to that token. So you can see this one has nothing applied and it has not been encased or added to the registry. So it has this little plastic bag as a way to sort of signify it's not been added to FungyProof yet. So if you scroll down, we are going to output all of the mint conditions here in a list. So if you want to dive into that data, for example, you want to know exactly where the metadata is stored, you can go through and you can view all of those aspects about the token. So if I'm the owner and I've graded this token, I can now decide to encase it. So I can click to encase, and that would take me to basically a cart checkout where I can add, I'm going to add this banana case, which there's this concept with these NFEs that you for these items that you can apply. So this would be a rare case, if you will, a special edition Bored Ape case, something to that nature. And then I'm also going to apply the Arweave. You'll notice the grade has now gone from a C to a B because it's increasing or grading aspects about that token. So now I'm going to purchase that, and that will take me into a transaction flow. I'm going to confirm that transaction, and now I'm going to go through this multi-party signature. I'm going to sign to verify that I want all of this data added to the registry. So I sign, get some kind of fun little confirmation here, and now my token has been encased. So if I go to view the NFT, you'll notice the grade is now a B from a C, and it shows me the percentage of points and how much of an upgrade that has applied to that grade. Now I have also the amount of Fungy credits I've earned, and then the total number of enrichments. And the token is now, the NFT image is now encased in this digital case. And I can have a backside with this with more data. So this will display in the viewer so I can see all this same information here. And now that I've purchased the Arweave upgrade, if I would like, I can now equip that badge onto my case. And I'll just put that one right there. And now anyone who views the registry or views an embedded viewer can see all the attributes that I want to display about the token right on the case. And that's it. So thanks for watching. And if anyone wants to chat, we'd love some feedback. And yeah, we'll be hanging out. Thanks.
Thanks, guys. I don't think I ever saw that MVP before, but the UI looks really good. I was wondering, so in order to assess the grade of the NFTs, what kind of, I guess, data in particular would you guys be looking at?
Yeah, so right now it's mostly where the assets are stored and how they're stored. We also have some information about latency. So when we basically crawl all of the NFTs information and then look at all the different links inside the metadata, and if things are on, Google, for example, we'll score it lower. Right. Or if we try to retrieve that image and it's broken, obviously we'll score that lower. But we have a number of things we actually had done a quick hackathon and came up with a system built on existing research around carbon offsets. So that's another aspect, which is, if it's on a proof of work chain, then it grades a little bit lower based on how much energy it's used and how much carbon output the smart contract itself is generating. So that's another one. And then we really have a list of probably, I want to say 15 to 18 things right now that we run through. That's a point scoring system. yeah, that's a big part of what we want to help improve. So is each different NFT has maybe potentially different things that you can score. So if we can get the community to kind of help us build out that rubric on an individual basis.
Yeah, and the sort of underlying concept is to grade higher when you go towards more decentralization and more sustainable practices.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I suppose, I mean, some people are spending millions of dollars on NFTs, and when they find out it's stored on AWS or something, they probably want to know that that information. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's really cool. I think it's kind of a no-brainer with where the NFT space is going. So thanks, guys. That was really good.
Thanks.
Awesome. Thanks.
I'm going to unspotlight you guys. And next up, we have Raylan, if you can come to the podium. And Mike and Brandon, if you could just go back to the backstage. Okay, and Raylan, I'm going to get you spotlighted here. And Raylan is going to be presenting Decentralized Web Services. I think the name is still pending. But my understanding is that the goal is to essentially build out an AWS-like infrastructure for decentralized services. And I know we're all really excited to hear more. So Raylan, go ahead. You have the floor.
Thanks, Jesse. Can everyone hear me?
I think so, yeah.
Amazing. Let me just present. Project that I've been working on, Decentralized Web Services, like Jesse mentioned, is still a work in progress name. The idea is that we want to build, deploy, and manage web applications suited for the PermaWeb much more easily than we do now. I think everyone here is pretty familiar with how to build out decentralized web apps, and coming from a Web 2.0 background, it is very, very low level, and is not really the experience that folks in the space are familiar with. DWS will serve as a hub for decentralized solutions for web applications, and will really take advantage of the composability of existing solutions to tie together these different applications in the back end. And our mission is really to increase the adoption of decentralized services and dApps by making dApps on the PermaWeb a lot more accessible via higher level components. These higher level components that people are familiar with are storage, an API gateway, being able to query the data, billing, a CI/CD, a DNS, and a CDN. Just a little bit about me. My name is Raylan Margono. I've been part of 5 startups, one of which I went through one acquisition at a Series B level, and I'm a founding engineer and lead engineer at Harness Wealth, which is a Series A company. I have extensive experience in building Web 2.0 products on a retail enterprise level, and have a variety of experiences working with technology stacks in infrastructure, data infrastructure, full stack development, and data pipelining. So one of the things I was looking at when working with trying to build a decentralized app is that very much like the experience of going into AWS, being able to pick out an EC2 instance and a S3 bucket, and being able to interact them using a high level component like a GUI or a REST API, or it's virtually non-existent in the dApp world. And I'm looking to change all that by building out an application that essentially allows more accessibility into these backend these decentralized services. So I have a little demo that I want to share. I've been working on it for a little over a week, but this is a minimum functional product that really highlights end-to-end what I hope to provide to the community to really help making dApps a lot easier to manage. So we can log in with our MetaMask account. And this really sets the identity for your application. This is your user. 1 second. There we go. We're going to sign, and that's how you create your user on DWS using a MetaMask wallet. After we log in and create our account, we are taking a dashboard which highlights basically an overview of all the different services and the metrics behind them that powers your decentralized application. From the amount of storage bytes you are putting into Arweave to the network requests that are being made through the API gateway to access your different assets onto in Arweave. We have a storage file system, which is powered by Arweave, AWS. It is very much a S3-like interface for Arweave. And for this demo, I will be creating a file system and using an API gateway, upload a file into DWS and just demoing that end-to-end, show how we're able to use this application for various different use cases. So we're able to create a bucket called first bucket. We're able to, in this interface, we're able to create folders, upload files, etc., things that you're familiar with when managing a file system. But I think the powerful and interesting thing is using an API to upload assets. So we're going to head over to our API gateway. We're going to create an API key. So first API key. And now we're going to use this API key and upload assets into Arweave in a RESTful way. Now, just for purposes of this presentation, I'll be moving to Postman on a different window, but I just want to show you what the results look like off screen, so there's less interruption. So using this this specific request, we're going to in the header add our API key. We are going to upload an image into this URL path, which then uploads it into our bucket. So I did that off screen, but if we were to look into our storage bucket now, we are able to see that file path and a series of folders created into the asset that we upload into Arweave. So if we're to click on this, it is actually making a request into Arweave to get the asset. Now you may be wondering, how is it able to do this without uploading a wallet, etc. And that's because DWS, in its mission to make things more accessible and easy for users, we've actually created that wallet for you, and we plan on actually hosting several different wallets for those backends, for those different backends in our system. Sorry, I think we have a bug in our demo, fortunately. But the idea is that we are able to view our how much we're spending in Arweave, and track that through through a dashboard, as well as see. Sorry guys, this is why I don't demo live. Try reloading. And managing that through an easy-to-use interface. Sorry, let me just reload the app. Let me actually see if we're able to access this page again. And we are. Cool. So we're able to actually see that the wallet that that was automatically created by the platform when you register. We're using TestWeave right now, and I've automatically minted myself some tokens, but we can see the wallet balance and the fiat balance. There's some issues with TestWeave, so this is actually just dummy data, but it is really pulling from TestWeave. and we can actually see the amount of storage costs that we've incurred through time. We are actually able to also purchase our Arweave through Ramp and various different tokens that we hope to support. And that's how we want to make billing much more accessible and easy to use for folks that are managing decentralized applications. If we go to home, we can see the storage bytes that we've through time on how we're storing data, as well as requests that are being made via our API gateway. Let me just refresh. Yeah, I guess it's not working right now, but imagine that there's metrics around throughput that is on uploading and retrieving data onto your Arweave bucket. Now, what are some of the use cases around this? Use case number one, you can integrate your API gateway, REST API into your continuous integration, continuous deployment of your decentralized application, and store those assets in the PermaWeb using that API. Step number one, you can create a bucket. You can build your dApp on a Circle CI, Jenkins, etc., and use the REST API to upload those assets into your bucket. This allows you to actually, you leverage one of these existing CI/CD solutions in uploading assets to your bucket, which was not possible because prior or required a lot of legwork because it required you to actually host your wallet into that machine. And use case number two, using the API gateway as a static URL for a CDN. So one example is, a lot of Create React app and a single page application is really popular in this space. And so when you're building Create React app, the main entry point is that index.html file, while all the other assets change and build. And so the index.html file is the entry point into your application. So using the static URL generated by the REST API, we're able to point to that index.html path in a CDN like Media, a decentralized CDN like Media Network, and we're able to actually continuously develop and deploy your builds in the same path without changing the underlying URL path in the Media Network. If you're familiar with how you were to work with dApps on Arweave right now, you would have to actually point the URL path provided by the Arweave gateway, which will, when you upload your assets, which change when you iteratively improve your application. So this allows you to have a static URL and allow you as the operator to change assets in the background without interrupting the nature of your CDN configurations. Yeah, so that's what I have so far. I'll be at the booth outside. I would love for anyone that's working on any decentralized applications to come and chat with me. I would love to hear some of the pain points that you have and how a service like this can best help you in your journey to building out a really great product. Thank you.
Thanks, Raylan. That was really cool. That was the first time I'm seeing this. I'm just wondering, so when did you start building this?
I started building this out probably during the first week of the Web Foundry. That's when I really started to dig deep into building stuff on Arweave, and just found that as a developer, everything is way too low level in the entire space. Just not even on the Arweave side, but if you were to build out something on Solana or Ethereum, things that you would need to know in order to build out an application and operate it in the Web 2.0 world doesn't exist in the decentralized space. And that's really that extra layer that AWS provides or GCP provides on top of these more open source systems like Postgres, that really takes a starter project into the enterprise level. So that's really what I am really thinking on building and helping serve, is that if you're really serious about building out a decentralized application that serves a lot of people and building out a team, a quite substantial team, like the existing ecosystem is not set up for success in that space.
Yeah, this will be like a piece of infrastructure that'll be useful to everyone creating projects on Arweave. So we're really excited about this. That's really cool. Yeah, thank you again.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, so you can find everyone in their booths right outside this room in the coffee mingle area. So we have 5 booths set up. And yeah, we could get started going there now. All the presentations are done. So thank you, everyone, and we'll see you out there.